Good one.
Welcome back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to our 53rd Monday without Dan Meuser. Give yourself a round of applause. We have gathered peaceably 53 times. With 1 year ago tomorrow, it was March 24th, 2025, when we first gathered here on the steps of the Lebanon County Courthouse to insist that Dan Meuser do your job. Dan, do your job. Dan, do your job. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is fantastic. And we're going to keep coming here in our peaceable assemblies in exercise of our First Amendment rights all the way up to the November midterm elections. Because our goal is to defeat Dan Meuser at the polls in November. And we are very fortunate to have a very strong candidate. We'll say a few more words about that in just a minute with Rachel Wallace. So again, I want to begin by reminding you that this is a peaceable assembly. It is absolutely critical we always remain peaceful. This regime is looking for every excuse to crack down on protests, and we must not oblige them. So we do not engage with counter-protesters, we ignore them if they come by, and we speak our minds and we speak truth to power. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We are here because we love our country, and we love our republic, and we want to keep it. And that's why we're here. Let's also begin, as we conventionally do, with this poem by Bridget Moy, and I spoke up. And again, your job at the appropriate moment is to say, I spoke up, and at the end, to say, we spoke up. Are you ready? First, they came for the immigrants and the refugees. Because immigrants and refugees are neighbors. Then they came for transgender people.
And I spoke up.
Because transgender people, too, are neighbors. And then they came for the poor and the vulnerable and the marginalized.
And I spoke up.
Because they, too, are neighbors. And then they came for the aid workers, the federal workers, and the civil servants.
And I spoke up.
Because they, too, are neighbors. And then they came for the professors and the teachers and the schools and the universities.
And I spoke up.
Because they, too, are neighbors. And then they came for us.
And we spoke up.
And why did we speak up? Because we are here together, and we are called to love each other, no exceptions. No exceptions. Thank you. Is there anybody here for the first time? All right, welcome. Brian, welcome. Do we have here on our email address, our email list, right? Welcome. Everybody give Brian a round of applause. Thank you for coming. Anybody else out there a first timer? All right. So we are living in a crazy time. We are in the midst of committing an illegal war halfway across the world, and Dan Meuser is 100% behind this illegal and unconstitutional war that violates the UN Charter, it violates international law, and there are war crimes being committed as we speak. War crimes of killing civilians. War crimes of ecocide, of bombing depots of oil and petroleum, and vast clouds of oil going up into the sky and then raining down. This sulfur-laden toxic oil rain falling all across Tehran. Israel has killed more than 1,000 civilians in southern Lebanon as they're clearing it out, more than 1 million refugees. So we are, again, engaged in an illegal war, and Dan Meuser is complicit in war crimes. And someday the price will be paid. I don't know if you read Dan Meuser's lame excuse for backing this war, but here's what he claims. He claims that this war is to protect American lives. Do you see American lives being protected in this war? I don't see it. American lives are more in danger than ever as a result of this war. Another excuse is to defend our allies. That's what Dan Meuser says. How many of our allies have agreed to help us open the Straits of Hormuz? Zero. Not a single ally. We have alienated. Donald Trump has alienated and insulted our allies from Canada to Iceland to Scandinavia, all across Europe and around the world. And now in Bangladesh and in Thailand and in Vietnam and elsewhere in Asia, there are real life ripple effects as schools are closing and people aren't able to cook their food. And, again, these ripple effects are happening around the globe because we have a madman as a president and his enabler and cheerleader, Dan Meuser. Another reason, I'm not making this up, this war is being waged to restore stability in the Middle East. Can you imagine such a thing? What kind of nonsense, I mean, if you believe that, we have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. That is absolutely insane. And then the Republicans in Congress refusing to vote to limit Trump's power to wage this war. Saying, no, we can't tie the hands of the president. This war that is costing an estimated $1.3 million a minute. Paul Krugman had a piece in the New York Times yesterday, $1.3 million a minute. So you do the math, by the time we're here for 1 hour, and by the time we leave at 1 o'clock, our government will have paid from our taxes $80 million to wage war against Iran. Now, none of this is to express sympathy for the regime in Tehran. It's a brutal regime. But to preemptively attack a sovereign nation state with the lame excuse that they represent an imminent threat, there was no imminent threat. The nuclear, build-up by Iran was under control under Barack Obama and under Joe Biden. Now the cat's out of the bag, and I hate to say it, but I would not be surprised if this spirals into some kind of a nuclear exchange. It is not beyond the realm of possibility. So pray and hope, but also get out and protest and insist that Dan Meuser do your job. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say about that. Let's get a little closer to home now with the ICE concentration camps, these gulags that are being proposed for Tremont Township in Schuylkill County and for Upper Bern Township in Berks County. You saw how many of you went to the protest in Tremont? I know Phil did. A number of others, people went. Thank you so much for going, for showing solidarity. Let's give them a round of applause. Because we need to stand together. It's a big district that goes all the way up to the New York State, and we need to forge alliances with other groups and individuals within Dan Meuser's, within Pennsylvania's 9th District. But it's not going to be Dan Meuser's district for long. It's going to be Rachel Wallace's district come January. So protest up in Tremont, a town hall. I don't know how many of you saw Rachel's video on Facebook, on social media, of the packed house up in Upper Bern Township, where there were dozens of local residents expressing their grave concerns about this ICE concentration camp that is being proposed. Then yesterday, in the Patriot News, we saw that ICE has been eyeballing properties in Dauphin County, another neighboring county. They're looking at three different sites. Justin Douglas, who is running for Scott Perry's seat in I think it's Pennsylvania's 10th district. He's a county commissioner. And Justin Douglas said there was no communication, there was nothing from ICE or DHS about their plans to build one of these concentration camps, one of these gulags in Dauphin County. So it's all around us, and I would not be surprised to see it also come here to Lebanon County. In fact, I could almost guarantee that they've been doing inquiries, poking around, looking at maps, eyeballing different sites that they think might be suitable for another one of these ICE concentration camps. So we need to keep our eyes open and keep a very close tabs on what ICE is doing here in central Pennsylvania. So kudos to those of you who went up to Tremont the other day, and we're going to continue to express our solidarity with Schuylkill County, with Berks County, with Dauphin County, with York County, all of our neighbors. We're all in this together. Lancaster County as well. Also, we have our No Kings 3.0 coming up this Saturday. Right down the block here in Veterans Park. I don't know if you took a look at the various conditions that the city has imposed on this peaceable public assembly, but they're making it kind of challenging. Right? They're going to be installing these big Jersey barriers, these concrete barriers at that point of Veterans Park. Allegedly, some of our members, some of our participants entered into the roadway at our last October 8th No Kings. Did anybody see anybody go into the roadway? There were apparently a couple of phone calls, a couple of reports from an unnamed people. And so the city says that they will be installing these Jersey barriers at the point of the park, and that it's going to cost them around $600, and that this time they will absorb the cost, but not in the future. So it seems to me they're setting us up to say, no, you can't protest here anymore. So we're going to see what we can do about that. We know some lawyers here in town, so we might take legal action, or we might just ignore it and, go anyway and, let them arrest us. I'll go get arrested for standing up and expressing our First Amendment rights. I don't mind spending a night in jail. We'll do a GoFundMe. I'd rather not. I'd rather obey the law, right? But this is a peaceable assembly, right? And so there's no genuine, authentic reason for doing this. But we also want to make sure that we remain always peaceful. And so that's why we have designated a dozen safety marshals under the leadership of Lou Felly. Lou, you want to raise your hand back there? Lou is a former sheriff's deputy. All right, you want All right, Lou.
We won't hold that against you.
We won't hold that against you, Lou. So Lou will be leading our team of 10 or 12 safety marshals. We're going to be designated. Each one's going to have a little section of the sidewalk that they're responsible for. But the basic idea is to prevent any kind of violence, to de-escalate any kind of conflict that emerges from passers-by, from people either walking or driving by that want to stop and cause trouble. So I think we're very well prepared. The police know we'll be there. They're going to be doing a bunch of drive-bys, so we should be safe and sound. But again, keep your eyes open and be careful on Saturday, because you never know what's going to happen. You're out in public like this. And then it's off to Hershey. Ours goes in the Veterans Park here from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then we have about an hour to clean up and head on over to Hershey. And the Hershey Peaceable Assembly and Protest will go from 2 to 4 p.m. So we have a whole bunch of speakers in Hershey. So it's going to be a 1-2 punch here in Lebanon and Hershey. So give yourselves another round of applause for telling this regime that we do not accept that our republic is going to turn into a kingdom. We do not have kings here in the United States of America. And to show that, I bought a whole bunch of No Kings t-shirts in all sizes. They're lovely t-shirts from a local vendor. They cost me pretty close to $10 each, so that's what I'm selling them for, is $10 each. I have some here. I have more at home. So, you know, if there's not enough here today, then by all, just get in touch. Email, text, Facebook message, and I'll be happy to put you on the list for getting a T-shirt. So that's coming up this Saturday. And then finally, defeating Dan Meuser in November. Rachel Wallace has been doing a bang-up job. You saw that we were able to collect, her team was able to collect nearly 4,000 signatures. She was like just a smidgen less than Dan Meuser. At first it looked like there was more, but then somebody didn't show up with their 150, and so she ended up with like fewer than 100 less than Dan Meuser, but basically tied. So they both got right around 4,000 signatures. They were not challenged. No one else filed. So we know that Rachel Wallace is a presumptive Democratic Party nominee for Pennsylvania's 9th District in the March 21 primary. So do what you can to support her candidacy. Hop on her website and sign up for her newsletters. She's got some really dynamite newsletters. She's on social media. You can contribute to her campaign, and just lending your voice in support of her candidacy to your friends and neighbors. A lot of people don't know this is happening. They don't know, who's your congressperson. A lot of people don't even know. So, do what you can, try to educate and inform your friends and neighbors and co-workers, and let them know everything that's at stake in this upcoming election, because literally our democracy is at stake. And the rights and the freedoms that we have taken for granted since World War II, really since the foundation, for many people at least, in this nation, are under grave threat. So thank you so much for coming. At our 53rd Monday with Meuser, to tell Dan Meuser to do your job. Dan, do your job. Dan, do your job. Thank you. Laura, you have a word?
Several.
A word or two from Laura.